Unfortunately, the political compass is very popular. I think that the popularity of the political compass is unfortunate, not merely due to its utter lack of nuance. A lack of nuance and great simplicity is very nearly inevitable when it comes to popular methods of understanding. The simplistic can have great value in aiding the understanding of those who lack a more intense interest. The political compass is highly simplistic, but it is something far worse than highly simplistic. It is downright misleading. The political compass suffers from something worse than a complete lack of nuance. The political compass suffers from a complete lack of accuracy. The political compass is misleading because it suggests that the authoritarian left and the libertarian right exist. They do not. There is no such thing as the authoritarian left or the libertarian right. When employed in these pairs, these labels are oxymoronic. Allow me to explain. The left versus right spectrum is defined by one key factor above all others: hierarchy. Left wing is defined by an opposition to hierarchy. The more opposed to hierarchy an ideology is, the more left-wing it is. Anarchism is the furthest left ideology because anarchism seeks to abolish all hierarchy. Left-wing doesn't always mean a complete opposition to hierarchy. It generally means that when it comes to contemporary issues, one ostensibly falls on the side that is more hostile towards hierarchy. Right-wing is defined by a support for hierarchy. The more pro-hierarchy an ideology is, the more right-wing it is. Nazism is one of the furthest right ideologies because Nazism is defined by its love of massive hierarchy. Right-wing doesn't always mean support of such extreme hierarchy. It generally means that when it comes to contemporary issues, one ostensibly falls on the side that is more in favour of hierarchy. The left is generally hostile towards hierarchy. The right is generally supportive of hierarchy. That is the key divide. If the left versus right spectrum can be simplified down to one key factor, that factor is hierarchy. This is the most useful and coherent conception of the left versus right spectrum that one will find. All other conceptions are plagued with blatantly circular logic and utter incoherence. This is the only conception that offers a coherent understanding of the spectrum. If we accept this conception, authoritarian left and libertarian right are clearly self-contradictory terms. Authoritarianism requires massive hierarchy, which means that it is fundamentally right-wing. Libertarianism requires a lack of hierarchy, which means that it is fundamentally left-wing. Authoritarian left is a self-contradictory term. You can't simultaneously be largely opposed to hierarchy and in favour of authoritarianism. Libertarian right is a self-contradictory term. You can't simultaneously be largely in favour of hierarchy and in favour of liberty. These terms are absurd, and I mean that in the truest sense. They are self-contradictory. They are oxymorons. If the left is defined by the fact that it is largely hostile towards hierarchy, an authoritarian left cannot exist. If the right is defined by the fact that it is largely in favour of hierarchy, a libertarian right cannot exist. The only coherent terms are a libertarian left and authoritarian right. These are the sides that do exist, that necessarily exist. The political right is inherently authoritarian. There is no political right that is not authoritarian because the political right is defined by the fact that it is largely supportive of hierarchy. The political left is inherently libertarian. There is no political left that is not libertarian because the political left is defined by the fact that it is largely hostile towards hierarchy. I find the idea of a libertarian right particularly laughable. If the concept of liberty is compatible with the hypercapitalism envisioned by the ideological oxymoron, the right-wing libertarian, then liberty has no meaning. The only freedom these people understand is the freedom to oppress, the liberty to enslave. There is no such thing as the libertarian right. The right-wing libertarians only value one freedom, and that freedom is the freedom to oppress. There is no such thing as the authoritarian left. The tankies are right-wing. They love hierarchy, and are blatantly right-wing in every regard, other than aesthetics. The political compass tries to add some nuance to the political spectrum. It adds nothing but highly misleading inaccuracy. There is great amusement to be found in the fact that the even more simplistic and reductive political spectrum represents a more accurate and useful means of understanding politics. A lack of nuance is often a flaw, but greater complexity is not necessarily a virtue.